Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. So when I think about summer, I think about road trips. For me, the summers were always surrounded by trip planning. I used to do student ministries, and so a big piece of my job was creating cool opportunities for students to create shared experiences, see different places, and then always be able to give back or serve in some way. We've been to so many cool places like DC, Hollywood, Miami, Chicago, the Dominican Republic. It's just been a blast to plan those trips. And so when I think about summer, again, I think about road trips. And so we're doing a summer series called Road Trip. And it's based on a book called The Energy Bus. And in The Energy Bus, it gives 10 different rules for managing your life's bus. And so we're going to do that. We're going to do a 10-week series called Road Trip, where we're going to talk about different things that we can think about on our journey. See, what I didn't realize in student ministries trip planning was that the worst part about trip planning was planning for vehicles. You're always trying to find enough seats, and it was whether you were going to rent a bus, rent a bunch of vans, or borrow a ton of vehicles. And one time we even considered motorhomes. Then you're rolling in style, and crazy enough, motorhomes don't require a special license, but buses do. So that's a tip for anybody planning a summer road trip. But recently I was hanging out with two friends of mine who still lead student ministries trips. My friends Greg and Caitlin are Young Life leaders, and we were just hanging out, talking about some planning for their trips and camps that were coming up. And we started sharing horror stories. Things that, if you've ever been around student ministries, or if you're a parent of a teenager, you know that with teenagers, things do not go as planned. And so we were sharing of all these crazy things that have gone wrong. And the nice thing about being a student leader and being on these trips is that you don't have a choice but to take control, because you're in lead of 25, 30 kids at one time. And so it forces you to take control, take lead of what's happening. And that leads me to rule number 1. It's your bus, you drive. See, in my life, summer road trips and the journey always is connected with faith. When we take these student trips, it was always to get kids out of their comfort zones, but then to attach it to what it means to their life and what God wants to do with their life. And so for us, in our own faith journey, we have control. No matter what's going on, good or bad, we have control. You're in lead, it's your bus, you drive. And this makes me think of the parable of the talents. In Matthew 25, 14 through 30, there's a master and there's 3 servants. And the master is leaving town and he entrusts his servants with money. In the Bible, it uses talents, which is a form of money, but we're just going to say dollars for easy mental math. So the master gives his 3 servants dollar amounts. He gives one $5,000. He gives another $2,000. And he gives the third $1,000. And then he leaves. And he expects them to do something with this gift. And when he returns, he asks them what they've done. And so the servant with $5,000 doubled it. And the master says, well done, great work. The one with $2,000 also doubled it, and the master is happy, and he says, good job, that's exactly what I wanted. But the one that only had $1,000, he felt like he didn't have as much, and he needed to protect it. And so he hid that money, and then turned over the same $1,000 to the master. And in the Bible, in the Message version, it says that the master was furious. He says, that's a terrible way to live. It's actually criminal to live cautiously like that. If you knew that I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? We've been entrusted with a life. We've been given a bus, essentially, and we are on a road trip in this faith journey. And we have to consider that God gave us all a bus. Some of them are not as nice of buses, right? We have a life that maybe there is some missing parts, or maybe we're low on fuel, or maybe it's broken down. But nonetheless, it's our bus, and we get to drive. We have to lead. God has given us that, whether it's 5,000, 2,000, or 1,000. It's our job to do the best with that. And so really this week, what I'd like you to consider as you enter summer and you plan your summer, How is my driving? It's like a self-eval piece. Consider for yourself, how is my driving? Am I in a spot where I am on an adventure and I am figuring out what my life means, how I'm doing with my life and what I'm doing, what that impacts others? Or is my bus broken down? And do I need to do anything differently in my faith journey to add fuel to the bus, to fix some things so that if God asked me and I was one of his servants, I could tell him, you've given me a bus and I have doubled what you've given me. I've done the absolute best I can instead of play it safe and play it cautiously. This week, as you consider your faith journey, be excited about the journey you're on. Be excited about the bus you've been given and consider how you might take that bus and include other people and impact this world for better.